Welcome back to another Treeline Academy video segment. Today, I wanted to recap something that I did a few years ago, which was a really popular video, and it's probably the number one question I get in relation to food and dehydrated meals and all those kinds of things. So, what do we take on a 5 or 7 or a 10-day backcountry hunt? What are we carrying in our pack as far as food, and what are we eating as far as meals, and how are we organizing it? And how are we dealing with it? I get those questions all the time. So I thought I would update this video from one that I did before so that I could kind of share some new things I'm doing and maybe give you some ideas that you might consider. Okay, so we're in the middle of bear season right now, and we just completed our first 10-day hunt in Idaho. It was a grueling hunt. It was super steep, a lot of energy consumption. So I really went through my food, probably even more than normal on a daily basis. I want to kind of recap what we're doing and how we're doing it. So I'm at home now, taking a couple of days off, getting the llamas a little bit of rest, and then we're getting ready to head out. Well, I'm getting ready to head out for a solo 10 days, and then we'll be wrapping up the season with the final 10 days, Ryan, Brian, and I together. So for this next hunt, I need 10 days worth of food, and that's what I'm going to share with you guys how I'm kind of organizing it. To start with, let's just start with the end product. So the end looks like this. This is 5 days worth of food. This is all my evening dehydrated meals, which I do myself. I'll show you those here in a minute. So if I put this on the scale right here, I've got the scale. It's weighing in at 10 and a half pounds. So I'm doing about 2 pounds per day. I know guys that get by with less than that, and I know guys that go a little bit more than that. But for me, I have found that if I can keep my products, meaning all the items that are in my food bag, around that or close to that 100 calories per ounce, then 2 pounds a day is about what I need to really perform at my best. So one of the problems, guys, if you're going to do a 7-day hunt and then you're going to be back home and you're going to be back to your normal, you can get by with less calories for those 7 days and still have a great hunt. But if you're doing back to back, like we're doing back to back 10-day hunts, 3 in a row, you cannot let your body get into a deficiency state. And it's just not going to perform well. You're going to struggle. So that's what we do per day. I mean, that's how we package up 5 days at a time. The reason we do 5 days at a time, or at least that I do 5 days at a time, is that very rarely am I packing in with 10 days worth of food. Elk season, I'm doing it more than bear season. Because usually if we pack into an area, we either find bears or we don't, or we're killing bears within 5 days. So I kind of decided that I'm going to break my food up into 5-day bags so that I can pack in for 5 days. I can come back out. I can grab another 5 days. I can either go back in or I can relocate to a new hunt area. So you can do it however you want, but basically it's working out to 2 pounds a day, 5-day bags. Okay, so what's in those bags? So in this 5-day bag are 5 individual days that are prepackaged, ready to go in 1-gallon Ziploc bags, looking just like this. So this is an example day here of food. So if I zip this up, put it on the scale, it weighs in at just under 2 pounds. So what that basically means, by the time I add my dehydrated meal for the evening meal, that will be roughly right at the 2-pound mark. I don't weigh all my bags. I might, if I feel like I'm getting a little carried away for a particular day, I might throw it on the scale to double check it. But my goal is to be really close or right around that 2 pounds. So what's actually in here? So again, I want to go back to this. If you're going to do 7 days and you're going to be done, you can get by with the same thing every day and you'll be just fine. But I have found that the more days that I go and the longer I go, I need to put some variety and I need to interject some of those differences into my meal packs in order. It's more of a mental thing and it's more of an emotional thing probably than a nutritional need. But I try to mix some things up. And the 2 things I mix up are the types of bars that I do. I do a wide variety of bars and the lunches that I put in. I always put a lunch in each one of these bags. We'll get to that. So I mix up the bars, I mix up a few of the snacks, and I also mix up the lunches a little bit. There's not a lot of variety, but there's some, just so I've got a little bit of difference from day to day. So this particular pack, let's break it down. So let's just start with the lunch. That's the easiest. So the lunch I pack in a quart bag by itself. And one of the reasons I kind of use so many, now I reuse these bags too. They don't, if they don't get nasty or I don't have a problem, I can put bear meat in this. If I'm doing, if I'm cleaning a skull of a bear and want to save the cheek meat, I can do that. I can do some of the trimmings in this bag. So when I kill bear, so this actually becomes part of my kill kit. Same with this. If we are finding morels, which hopefully in these next couple hunts, we'll start finding morels and wild onions, we can bag them in these bags. So they kind of serve dual purpose during the days. But so what I run in my lunches, in this particular lunch, I almost always run the same thing as far as a few of these items. I run 2 flour soft tortillas with 3 packages of cheese. I run a variety of cheeses just to give a little bit of variety. Like this is Old Crock. I run the Tillamook. Individually packaged 2 or 3 of these cheese packages in with the tortillas and then a meat of some kind. In this particular case, you can see I'm running a dry salami. So I really like the dry salami, and it seems to last 10 days is no problem unless you've got a really, really hot situation or really hot hunt. And so I'll run the dry salami quite a bit. Another thing I like to run, here's another example lunch, is I run these individual foil packed StarKist type things. This one here is chicken salad. I don't run this one all that much. I'm going to try it on this next hunt, but I do the chicken salad. Sometimes I'll do the chicken packets like this. Sometimes I'll do the pulled pork barbecue like this. So that would be my protein mixed in with the same 2 tortillas and the same cheese packs, just like I did on the previous one. So here's one with the chicken salad and here's one with the dry salami. So that's kind of how I do my lunches in quart bags. And then throughout the day, this is what I have left. So this includes my breakfast. I am not a big breakfast person when I'm hunting, especially bears, because we spend a lot of time glassing bears in the middle of the day. Bear 30, we call it, is around noon. So we spend a lot of time before noon, around the noon hour, and then a few hours after we're glassing. So there's plenty of time usually to snack and get your calories up. So I make coffee in the morning, which we'll talk about that in a second. And then I might eat a bar out of my bag, or I might wait till I get to the glassing spot, whatever. But the point is, I don't spend a lot of time cooking a lot of breakfast. I don't cook up scrambles that often. I just don't do it. So in this bag, I've got these super healthy Cheez-Its. Guys, again, when you're putting forth this effort and this really significant effort, your body really starts to crave fat and salt. So if you go straight bars and you go straight sugary stuff, and that's kind of what you focus on, that's fine. But I feel like you're going to have this need or this want for this fatty, salty items. So I've learned that over the years. So I've incorporated more of these kinds of things. So a lot of times I'll run like these Cheez-Its. Another thing I like to run is Gardettos. And I will buy a big bag of Gardettos, and I will put a portion of Gardettos in one of these quart bags. I don't have one here to show you. So they're high in salt. They've got a really, I like the Gardettos. And so I'm kind of looking forward to those. Again, you want to have food when you're putting forth this kind of effort. You want to have food that you're looking forward to. You don't want it to become a mundane, just out of necessity, because it can really play with your mental well-being, I found, especially on extended hunts or back-to-back hunts. So Gardettos, Cheez-Its, something salt. I do Fritos sometimes. Like on this hunt, I am taking some Fritos in the same, quart bag. They get broken up, big deal. You just pour a little in your hand, you eat a little powdered Fritos, big deal. If you take care of them, it's surprising how well they do if you don't just smash the crap out of them. So Cheez-Its. Then I usually have some type of nuts. This particular one, I really like these Shahil. I order these. This is a cashews glazed mix. I really like these nuts. And then I always run a couple bars for breakfast. And I like Fig Newtons. When I used to race Ironmans back in the day, I found that Fig Newtons in my body and my energy really perform well. Some people don't like figs. Some people don't like these type of fig bars. But I have found that the fig bars work really well for me. I like them. I kind of crave them. And I really like them for breakfast. So I'll pack 2 of these. I only have 1 in here for some reason. I need to add 1. So we'll add an apricot one. So I usually pack 2 of these fig bars. And then I almost always run 2 RX bars. Guys, I really like these RX bars. It's a high protein. You get 12 grams of protein in them. And they're the basics, man. They're egg whites, nuts, dates. It's just, that's what it is. So I really like these. Now, some people just don't like them. My body does well with these, so I pack 2 of these. I will usually throw in a couple of just random meat sticks. I'll buy them in a pack, or I'll make my own elk ones or whatever, and then I'll just throw them in. I don't package them separately. They're just in the pack. And then this particular case, I got one of these 100-calorie emerald nuts, just a small snack. In this particular one, I've got some of these snack bites, these Kelly Jean. These are a little pricey, but these things are freaking, 260 calories. This is a load of nutrition, a load of energy. So I really like these as well. And then I always run in all my everyday, I always run a liquid IV. I keep 1 pack in there so that at least one of my quart bottles during the day, I'm able to put this in. So I'm getting a few calories and I'm getting some electrolyte replacement, which we're going to talk about again here in just a second. So I almost always run one of these. So one of the other things I almost always run is I throw in a couple of these snack size. Now this is where it gets a little crazy. I throw in a couple snack size Snickers. I throw in a Reese's peanut butter cup almost always. These are some of my favorites, and they're just a treat. There's not a lot. I only run 2 or 3 of these. It's a sugar boost. But one of the things I do with these Reese's a lot, and this is particularly for Lampers, he's going to love this, is when I make my coffee in the morning, which is already a latte mocha, I will throw one of these in it and melt down this Reese's, and it's a powerhouse breakfast drink. I really like it. So we've got that. So that all in this bag is my daily food for the day. So we'll get this all back in here. We've got our electrolytes, we've got our bars, and then we've got our lunch packed separately in there. So that's kind of how I run it. And then I'll squeeze it out of it, and then you've got your one day all in one bag. Guys, one of the reasons that you might want to consider switching to this type of system, whatever you put in it, the key is keeping one day separate. Guys, when you're hunting and you're exhausted and you're thinking about the hunt and it's raining and all kinds of issues, the last thing you want to do is be digging through some stuff sack, trying to grab enough snacks for the day. It's nice when you can just open your bag, you grab your bag. It also lets you ration it proportionally. On this last hunt, we had one of our new camera guys. He started eating up all his food and he was out of food a couple of days to go in the hunt because he didn't have it individually packed per day and he didn't have kind of a ration system. Now, I will add that this food in this pack is really usually a little more than what I'll eat each day. I know that. I plan for that. So I know I might have a couple of items left each day. So what that allows me to do is take a 5-day bag, remember like this, 5-day bag, and I can stretch that to 7 super easy. Usually I have enough bars, I have enough whatever left that I can easily, if I need to, if there's a bear I'm after or an elk I'm after and I don't want to go out, I've almost always got a few things that I can scrape and scramble together to get me through another day, maybe even 2 on a 5-day. So it's not hard to turn your 5-day pack into a 7-day pack if it's individually packed and you're working through it day by day. So in addition to these daily packs, I'm always running my own dehydrated meals for my evening meal. So I package my own dehydrated meals. This is what they look like. It's in a Mylar bag, just like, pretty much like any standard meal. This is enchiladas. So one of the great things about doing your own dehydrated meals, which stay tuned because I've got some really, really exciting stuff coming down the road on courses that related to how to show you how to do your own food, how to dehydrate, recipes, tips, tactics, strategies, and even a way to get supplies in less quantities than these massive numbers that you need to buy from most of these outlets. But this is how I package them in a Mylar bag. It's got a zipper top, so it's resealable. And then I also heat seal the top. So it's a pretty solid system. What I am able to do doing my own meals is like Mountain House for me is about enough calories and about enough food for an evening meal for me. I don't like Mountain House very much, but I'm just saying the quantity. But some of the others that I'm not going to name, they really don't have enough food for this, this beautiful physique body that I got here to get me through the day. I need my food to be a little more quantity driven than some of the packaged ones that you can get. So it's really nice that I have complete control over that. And then I don't vacuum seal them. I just squeeze the air out so that I can fold it over. And inside this 5-day bag, I have 5 of these meals and I have 5 of these bags. So there's no question. I know exactly what I'm doing. Every day I grab the bag out of my pack. I throw the new bag in. I save my extra stuff if I need to make it another couple of days. So let's talk about what other things that we're dealing with when we're talking about food on a remote backcountry hunt. So one of the things that we're doing as well is electrolyte management. Guys, if you're not doing electrolyte management on your hunts, you're going to be on a continual decline during your hunt. Some guys, some women use salt more than others. So it takes a little bit of experimentation to figure out where you're at and what you need. But for me, when I used to race Ironmans, I started figuring out really quick that I was going through a massive amount of salt. My body, I sweat a lot, but I also lose a lot of electrolytes. And so I need to stay focused on that, especially if I'm going to try to stay at the top of my game for 2 to 3 hunts in a row at 56 years old. It's a process that has to be managed. And if you ignore that process, you're going to pay the price. So like I said, I always have that liquid IV pack. I buy these liquid IVs in the 16 packs. They're not the cheapest things in the world, but they're very tasty. And I really like them. They seem to be, the pH is just really easy to drink. It doesn't have a harshness to it. So I really like the liquid IVs. So I have one of those per day. And then at night, I almost always have this e-charge. So Ryan Lampers and Hillary have this new product with their Stealthy Nutrition. Make sure you check it out. This stuff is absolutely amazing. But this is an electrolyte replacement, and I like it warm. Ryan kind of turned me on to that, but you can heat your water up a little. I wouldn't suggest boiling water, but slightly warm. You throw in this e-charge, you drink it at night. You're getting a nice electrolyte boost so that you're going to be nice and recovered and topped off to start the day. So my daily process is I drink 1 of these liquid IVs during the day, and then I drink a cup of this or a little bit more of this e-charge at night. So as far as that goes, there's one other item that I do on certain hot hunts, really aggressive hunts, and it's more related to temperature for me and my body type and my body size. The higher the temperature, obviously, the more you're sweating, the more electrolytes you're losing. So one of the things that I do pack, they're super light, is these Hammer Nutrition Enduro Lights. I found this product when I was racing Ironmans, and it's transitioned perfectly to hunting. Guys, when you're hunting, there's really no difference between hunting and an athletic performance. You're performing, and you have to treat your body like you're performing. So these Enduro Lights is another product that I run, and I'll grab some of these. If I'm starting to struggle, or I'm looking at my hat, it's just white on my shirt, I've got all these white lines on my shirt, then I'm starting to hit these Enduro Lights. I mix them in with my CBD capsules. I carry them in a little Ziploc bag in my personal kit. So when I'm hunting, I'm typically taking between 75 milligrams to 100 of CBD, in addition to possibly some of these Enduro Lights. I take of these, you're going to kind of have to figure out what works for you. They're pretty balanced. They don't cause a lot of stomach issue. That's another reason I like them. My body does extremely well with them, but I'll take 4 or 5 of these a day easily if I'm in a really hot, sweaty condition. So I do run those. As far as coffee in the morning or a drink in the morning, now I pack with llamas. So every once in a while, I'll pack in some Monsters and I'll drink those as well. But for the most part, I'm packing in a coffee drink, and it's more of the lines of this. I get made a lot of fun of for this, but this vanilla caramel latte, the Swiss, or this is a Maxwell House version. And then I've got this Hills Brothers cappuccino. So I kind of have a mix of those. So guys, I'm not a badass. I'm not a badass coffee drinker. I mean, let's just be honest. I'm kind of a frou-frou coffee drinker. So I package enough in a Ziploc. I don't like to carry it in containers because I've had some disasters. So I pack enough for 10 days so that I can have at least a coffee a day. And then one of my other tricks that I mentioned before was that Reese's, putting in the Reese's peanut butter cup in my coffee, melted with this is quite a load of nutrients. So, like I said, I don't eat a lot of breakfast as far as before I head out, but that coffee and possibly that Reese's kind of gives me that sugar boost and gives me a few calories to get going. And then I'll eat my bars or something like that when I'm up on the mountain. So that kind of wraps up the food part of it. So for this hunt, I've got two. This is a Kafaru bag. So I've got 5 days in here, and I've got 5 days in this Backcountry Fuel. So a little plug, if you're not subscribed to the Backcountry Fuel box, you should think about that. I really love what Cody Rich is doing with the Backcountry Fuel. What it does for me is you always get different things. So remember what I talked about, the variety is I can grab a few things out of this Backcountry Fuel box each month or save my boxes during the year. And then when hunting season comes around, I can throw in a little variety of things that I haven't even tried before. So now I don't usually recommend that, okay? So if you've got a real delicate stomach or you've got some allergies or there's just certain foods you don't like to eat or your body doesn't do well, guys, you need to only eat things that you're used to eating. That's important. I learned that the hard way racing. I kept trying all these things, and then I kept eating the nutrition that they had on the course in the race, which my body was not used to. And so I constantly was having all these problems. Once I figured out that I need to start eating the things that my body's used to, that I've trained with, that's performed well for me, and things started getting a lot better. Well, it's the same with hunting. So if you've got that issue, make sure you keep that in mind. Don't try a bunch of new stuff on a backcountry hunt. So a couple things additional. Sometimes I will pack for breakfasts. If I want to cook a breakfast, I will do these Kodiak cakes. Kodiak cakes make some really great oatmeal. I particularly like the chocolate chip. This is one of the cup versions. I don't pack this in very much. I usually will pack in just the oatmeal packets, the paper, wax paper oatmeal packets, and I will pour my hot water right into those packets. It works really well, guys. It typically won't soak through. It won't leak. You can use your spoon and eat it right out of the packet so they can go right in your trash bag so that you don't have to dirty up your cook kit or anything like that. So I really like that. This is more for like a base camp operation when I'm packing with my mamas. So anyway, I like the Kodiak cakes. And then as far as bars, I run a variety of bars like I showed you in here. But one of the bars that I really like lately is these Power Crunch bars, particularly the s'mores ones. I like these wafer bars. They're light. They digest well. They're kind of a treat on the mountain. They've got 220 calories. They're pretty heavy. They're pretty heavy in protein. They've only got 5 grams of sugar. So I like these. I like the RX bars. I use Cliff bars from time to time, but I've gotten away from Cliff bars more and more. I'll run these Kind bars sometimes. I really like those as well. And then one other thing that I run sometimes, especially in states that have crappy water. For example, when I'm hunting in New Mexico or I'm hunting in places where the water is a little more yuck, obviously we're treating the water. Let's not kid ourselves. We're using a SteriPen, or in like Arizona and New Mexico, states like that. Most of the time I'm filtering my water in those states because the water quality is just not good. So I will carry these Crystal Light lemonade packets, these individual serving ones, and I will put these in my quart bottle. It really makes that water that's got a little bit of taste. Now the water's safe because we've treated it, but it still might have some undesirable flavor to it. So this goes a long way. And what it does is it helps you make sure you're drinking enough water. A lot of times what I was finding was that if the water was bad and I was drinking pure water and it just didn't taste good, I was not drinking what I should be drinking. So this really helps that situation. And they're very light, easy to carry. Okay, so that kind of wraps up the food. So let's talk real quick, since it kind of relates to our food, let's talk real quick about our cook system. Okay, so as far as cook systems, I run a system that's probably a little heavier than most guys might. I don't backpack with my stove and during the day. I know guys that like to make meals on the mountains. I know guys like to make coffee on the mountains. That's fine. I typically don't. So, but if I did, I do have you'll see, I do have a burner that is capable of that, and it's lightweight enough for that. So I'm prepared to do that. If it's super cold, or I take my son and I want to make sure we've got some hot chocolate, or we can make some chicken noodle powdered soup, or we can do some things like that, then I can easily switch to a system that I can put in my pack. So let's break this down. So the first thing that I run is, let's just start with the stove. So I have been running this MSR, like a whisper light type system, but this year I switched to the Jetboil Mighty Mo, and I'll kind of tell you why. So one of the things I like about this Mighty Mo is it's really got a range of control. That's really the key. Is it's got a big burner on the top, so it does produce a lot of flame, and the igniter on the Jetboil, it just works really well. I have not had it fail yet. I had to get rained on, and I had to kind of dry it off and blow it off, but it worked. But it really works well. So this is the first year I'm running it. And so what I like about it is that it's a freestanding pot. It's not the typical Jetboil with the vented bottom where you got to snap it onto the stove. And one of the main reasons I like that is it gives a little more versatility. Is it allows me to use multiple pots or multiple types, maybe even a small skillet or whatever on this stove. So this is the first year I'm running it. The verdict's still on it, but I really like it so far. I've used it on this first bear hunt. It's super light. The igniter works. It folds up nice. It's really got a lot of features I like. But the main thing I like about it is the control of the flame. It's got a tremendous range of low simmer to high cook. And where that comes in handy is like, if you're going to render some bear fat, for example, on this last hunt, we rendered up some bear fat, meaning we slow cooked some bear fat, turned it into oil, and then we literally deep fried chunks of bear meat. It was freaking outstanding. Well, it's really hard to do that with a stove that doesn't have a lot of control for the temperature and the amount of flame. So this thing has a very, very, very wide range. So I really like that about this stove. So as far as pot, as far as cook, I run this GSI titanium. And what I like about this is, now this is a pretty large pot. A lot of people will get by with less than this, but for me, if I'm taking my son, or we've had a lot of cases, our stoves just quit working, guys run out of fuel, whatever the case, it allows me to make 2 meals in one pot if I need to. So I kind of like having that option. In the morning, if I'm going to make some oatmeal, or I'm going to make let's say I'm going to make a scramble, which is rare, I've got enough room to boil water for both of those really easy in one time to get maximum efficiency out of it. One of the keys, I want to make sure if you're using a pot and if you're a newer person, if you've got a lot of experience, you know this already, make sure you've got a lid. It's important to have that lid, especially in a cooler environment, because it's just going to boil faster. You're going to conserve your fuel better. So I run this GSI pot. So as far as cup or mug or whatever, I run this GSI mug. It's a liner. You can pull it out of the liner. You could cook with this if you wanted to. It's a small. This is probably a little overkill for a lot of guys, but I like it because when I make my coffee in the morning and I'm kind of working, getting my pack ready and whatever, it keeps it warm for a long time. So I like having the lid. I like having the neoprene side to grab it. So again, this is another GSI. I really like the products from GSI. So I run these two systems with the Jetboil Mighty Mo. So one other tip that I wanted to mention was I had this happen to me last year. So this is a new thing. And you certainly don't have to do this, but one thing I did run into was I had a large fuel canister. Well, I've had a couple of things that have happened. I've spilled stuff onto these canisters, and I left it outside. I didn't hang it with my food. Bear came into camp. For some reason, they're also attracted to propane. They bit a hole through my canister, so I was out of fuel. That happened to me once. Well, actually, that's happened to me twice. And so that's another reason for what I'm about to say. The second thing that's happened to me is they've gotten a leak. These things are usually pretty reliable, but I had one time where when I unscrewed it, it didn't seal up. So it leaked out. So I was out of fuel. The second thing that happened to me more recently on a hunt prior to this last bear hunt was the threads were wrong. The threads were messed up on the fuel container. during the manufacturing process. I don't know when it happened. Maybe it was me, it cross-threaded it. It doesn't matter. The problem was I couldn't get a good seal. I had to work with it to get it into my stove. So it caused me problems. So there's just 3 examples of what could cause a problem with this. And if you're relying on 1,000 calories plus per day of your evening meal, you need this to work. So I almost always carry a small one, and well, or it depends on how many days. For 10 days, I'll carry a big one, a full one of these, and I'll carry one of these. I rarely go to this. It's more of a backup, but it's also a reliable backup if something happens to one or the other. A lot of times you'll have some of these where you'll use partials and you'll have partials left. Like this particular case, you can see there's no top on it, but it's pretty full. I can feel the weight. You can weigh these things and figure out how much propane's in them, but you can feel like there's a little bit in there. Okay. So I've got enough that I know I have a backup to this if I have a problem. I really count on my dehydrated meals as part of my calorie consumption per day. So it's important for me that I can maintain that system for 10 days or 5 days, however many days we're going. Okay, so I hope that helps a little. I know I went quick on some of that stuff. I just wanted to throw this video up because I was getting ready for this hunt. And I thought it was a great opportunity for me to share kind of my upgrades of my food and what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. If you got any questions, comments, or ideas, suggestions for guys, put them in the comments. I would have really appreciated if I had some resources that would help me cut that learning curve down. So anyway, that was really the impetus behind me creating Treeline Academy. So the first course that I put out was the Treeline Academy e-scouting elk course. It's been up for 2 years. It's been incredibly popular. I've gotten so much feedback, and I keep putting new stuff up there. There's ways to ask questions. It's 30 hours long. It's everything you want to know about finding elk. But coming up next, in the next year, I hope, is going to be an entire course dedicated to preparing your own dehydrated meals, both dehydrated and freeze-dried, how we do it, tips, tactics, strategies, gear, bags. It's going to be all-inclusive, recipes, everything. So look forward to that coming down the road. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel so that when I start putting up some new stuff, you'll get notified to it. And again, please leave your comments and suggestions, ideas. I love to see what other people are doing. Maybe I can adopt some of your ideas as well. Thanks for watching. I hope you check out my course at treelineacademy.net.